Pirate attacks, expensive internet, problems with English, life in mental trash. Be prepared, this is second part of answering very obvious questions about sea life. First question, what about English language? What you need to know to work in sea? So, you have to know English if you will work in international fleet. If you work with your local crew, for example, you work with Russians, you are Russian and you work with other Russians, you still need to know English. In this case, you have two different languages. First one is a common language. For example, in our case, this is Russian language. So all verbal communication will be in Russian. But at the same time, you will have official language, which will be most common one, English. It's common practice because this is international fleet, your office can be located in Europe, crew can be from Russia, from Ukraine, from Georgia, from Philippines, from India, so you have big globalization and you need to have one language which everyone can understand. If you want to work in sea as a rating, you need to know basic level of English language. So if you watch this video and you understand what I'm talking about, so you have this knowledge. Simply because ratings don't work and don't interact with a lot of papers. But if you want to earn much more, you will work as an officer or as an engineer, and you will have a lot of paperwork. All communications with other vessels, with shore facilities, with supplier, with your own office will be in this official language. Huge part of this work will be with paper. You will also have big gap between shore English language and vessels English language, just because you have a lot of different specific terms and phrases. Even when you speak in Russian, you always combine Russian language with different English phrases, because it's just easier to do this. Расходись с тем судном порт to порт. Включите, пожалуйста, Fire Pump для того, чтобы якорь помыть. Переключи на канал 1.6 на той VHF. It's just simpler to know, for example, English version of this phrase, of this word, and use English version, not finding Russian translation. Next language point is misunderstanding. This is something that you will meet and you need to reduce it. For example, if you give order to a helmsman, you will say, for example, course 325 instead of course 325. It's just easier to hear 325 because you have a lot of different communications and a lot of different activities on the bridge during pilotage. A master with mooring team, master with pilot with helmsman, helmsman with navigating officer with master, and you have this insane amount of activities on the bridge, and you need to have these clear phrases and clear communication between different parts of team. If you are helmsman and receive order from a pilot, from a master, you must repeat this order in the same way. There is a special book called Standard Marine Communication Phrases, where you have different rules and dedicated phrases which you will use during your normal routine. For example, when you are using VHF to communicate with other vessel, with traffic control, with Coast Guard, it's just hard to hear, for example, A, B, C. These pretty simple letters. Instead of saying letter, you will say Alpha, this is A, Bravo, this is B, Charlie, this is C, Quebec, this is Q. So you will use these words instead of letters. And also these words connected to these letters, which are connected to a flags, which you will use on the bridge. And the most usable flags are Bravo, B, this is red flag, which says that you have or load or discharge dangerous cargo on board. You will use hotel, H, the red and white flag, which says that you have pilot on board. You will use Quebec, Q, yellow flag, which requires free pratique. You can easily say to a seaman, raise up hotel and Bravo flag, and it will be clear for you and for him, and he will perform his duties properly, correctly, and without additional questions. Are vessels actually destroying our planet? Because you can see we have a lot of coasts full of plastic. Well, In defense to all sea trading, this is not because of sea fleet. Of course, every vessel have negative impact to the world, but we have Marpol Convention, which described a lot of different stuff about pollution, about oil pollution, air pollution, garbage pollution, dangerous goods. We have garbage separation on board, and you can't throw in one garbage bin metal, plastic, wood, paper, a lot of different stuff. You can't do this. This is prohibited. Every type of garbage has special bin in specific unique color. Yellow bin only for plastic, white for paper, gray one for metal. This is about garbage and which type of garbage you can discharge when you're located in sea. And you can discharge only food waste, operational waste, and cargo residues, which are not harmful to the marine environment. Other stuff like cooking oil, plastic, you can't discharge it at all. And what to do with all this garbage? Well, you just arrive at port and you call port garbage service, and they arrive and take your garbage. Yes, and you need to pay for this stuff. Vessel should pay, ship owner must pay for this service. Okay, all this type of garbage understood. What about oil pollution? Of course, oil spill is very serious threat, but you have on board special oil protective equipment which you must use in case of oil spill. Right now it's very hard to create big cargo leakage because every vessel right now it's compulsory to have double hull structure. So you have outer frame, and these outer frames for ballast water, for just simple water that you take from sea. And tank inside this outer frame is for cargo, for oil, for chemicals, for all these dangerous goods. In case of grounding or collision, this ballast tank will meet this really powerful impact and protect this inner cargo tank, and it will be in safe condition, and you won't have this oil pollution, big oil pollution. In previous century, vessels had single hull structure, and some of cargo tanks were used for ballast waters, which is not environmental friendly procedure. Right now a lot of vessels have additional systems, additional protective measures. Vessels also need to use less harmful fuel. For example, when you're located in special Marpol areas, this is main trend of all sea industry is be more environmental friendly, be more responsible about our environment. Vessels are destroying our planet, but just a little bit, because I was in Africa and I saw a lot of garbage in water, in port, in nearest city you can see this garbage. A few weeks later I was in Europe, in Rotterdam, and I saw near the big oil tanks, shore oil tanks and shore facilities, I saw clean and pretty happy sheep which are eating grass near these big oil tanks. So please don't blame vessels or someone or something which are far away from your coast, from your nature, and blame yourself or blame your neighbor who don't know how to use garbage bin and what to do with garbage and how to interact with garbage bin. Next question is pretty painful. It's about creepy and strange insights when you are on board. So, firstly, this place is very traumatic. It's full of metal. Even these walls are from metal. It's very easy to get injury just because of chain of small mistakes. You can lose your finger, you can lose your arm, you can lose your side, you can lose everything that you can imagine, you can lose during working on board. This is why main slogan of sea work: safety first. One thing is ruining your own life, for example, not wearing goggles during anchoring. But when you have responsibility of others' safety, you start to think more about how to do everything correctly and without mistakes. You know that human being is full of freezing, lagging, a lot of different bugs you have inside, and you need to somehow compensate it using this slogan safety first, and you have a lot of different stuff behind this slogan. But this is only small and pretty visible part of bad stuff. I'm simply afraid to lose my mind, because you sign contract for 6 months contract, and you can work, for example, 8 months because of COVID. Thank you, COVID. You just simply can't leave your work, you can't take a break, take simply because you feel a little bit depressed, or you have trouble on shore with your family, with your relatives. It's just impossible to do. One thing is break your own leg and you have visible reason why you can't work, but when you have troubles inside your own brain, you can't do nothing. You have to work no matter how you feel. If you are sick, you will use just strong medicine and go to your watch. Speaking about navigating officers, they have 4-6 hours watches, then they can rest 6-8 hours, then again have this watch. You have no weekends, you can't take a break. You work during 4-5 months in a row without weekends in this pretty strange and not human conditions. And when person is more closer to end of his contract, then more negative he becomes. I really don't know the recipe how to fix these problems. Yes, you can go to gym, you can go to sauna, you can call to your someone on shore, you can be creative. It doesn't help. It partly works, but still one solution is go on shore and don't return on the vessel. Perfect solution, but it's just impossible to do this. Other points that I found during long contract, for example 5, 6, 7, 8 months, you lose sense of life, like regular life. What will I do after returning back home? Will my relationship with my family, with my girlfriend still be good? And it's much more complicated when you have kids, when you have children. It's pretty typical story when child didn't see his father during the whole life because father located in the middle of nowhere working on vessel. If you take positive moments of your shore life, you can't feel it, but you can feel bad events which can happen with your family, with your friends. Your own thoughts can simply eat you alive and you can do nothing. You can't fix this because this is sea work. The most terrifying point for me, if you don't create other sources of income, you will waste your life in sea. You have really big salary, and I spoke about the salaries in my first part. Big salary, you can't find the same salary on shore using your own skills and own diploma. You have the same working circle over and over again, and you take your adult life, 40 years of your adult life when you can work, and half of these 40 years you just throw in a garbage bin because this is not a life, this is imitation of life, and I will develop this idea in future videos, which will be much more depressed and much more negative. And next question, please. First, the most important question was about salaries. Second important questions about food on board. So we have cook on board who prepares meals for whole crew, and we have standard scheduled breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Quality and variety of food depends on amount of money that ship owners pay for this food. How much ship's owner pay for every crew member? For example, $10 per day for every crew member only on food. This amount of money varies from vessel to vessel, from company to company, because every vessel have different ship's owner. I had experience when it was around $8 per day for every crew member, and it was okay. It was okay. I had pretty big portions. We have enough fruit and vegetables, but we had a problem. We don't have a lot of bottled water on board. So for every crew member, it was 15 liters of water for months. 15 liters for months. Additional thing about meals that you can't predict it because it depends on a cook, on specific cook, because for example Russian cook will prepare Russian meals, cook from Asia will prepare Asian food, and some cooks prepare or very fat food or very spicy food. And right now we have rolling one, my friend, which work on vessels, had stomach issue because of very spicy food on board, because the cook was from India or from Philippines and he was from Russia, and he wasn't prepared for this very spicy food. Additional strange insight that during last months of any contract you start to hate all food on board. just you don't like it because it's the same recipes, the same cook, the same food, the same quality of food. You don't have variation of this food and you have the same circle over and over again and you can't change it. You have no choice. Other insight about sweet. This is my collection of sweet for my last 2 months of contract. You simply want to eat something sweet, and chocolate, this is a main currency on board. If you have chocolate on board, you will be the richest person. During one of the last voyages, we arrived in Russia and we had ability to order something, for example, supply or food or any kind of what do you want. One crew member paid $30 to buy a lot of chocolate. I paid $30 to buy a lot of chocolate. I'm not this type of person who like to eat a lot of sweet stuff like candies, chocolate. Don't eat it a lot on shore. But right now, give me please more of this. By the way, this is pretty interesting combination and I recommend to try it out. I know that this is harmful for your body if you have a lot of sweet, but you don't have any other choice. You just want to be just a little bit happy during voyages. Yes. What about internet? And it costs a lot. Yeah, and you have special antennas on board of your vessel which connected to the world, and you have internet access, but you need to pay for this and you need to pay a lot of money. During my previous contract, my first contract, I have to pay $5 for 100 megabytes. 100 megabytes, not gigabytes. Connection is very slow because you need to spend a lot of time to send a photo, to send a voice message, and sometimes you can't even call using Telegram or WhatsApp because this internet connection is very slow. I am located in the middle of nowhere. How can I upload these videos located on vessel if I have this pretty bad internet connections? You also have additional ways using local SIMs, using eSIM. When you arrive at the port of loading or discharging, as usual, local agent can sell you local SIM with just infinite price to have internet access for 1 to 3 days. For example, I was in Libya and I paid $20 for SIM card with 5 gigs of internet. I was in Guinea and the local agent gave to whole crew SIM cards, just use it, and I had to top up it. I paid $15 for 9 gigs of internet, and this is just insane money, especially when you understand that you will use this SIM card 2, 3, 4, 5 days, maximum 5 days. This is pretty typical case when vessel don't have delays and when you don't spend additional time on anchorage or drifting near the port. You pay a lot of money, get just this small amount of internet which you use 10 hours between your work, between your watches. This is sea life. That's why before contract you downloaded a lot of content which you watch next half of year. I downloaded 700 gigs of YouTube videos, 30 gigs of music and almost 40 gigs of podcasts. In case of global blackout, global data erosion, like in Blade Runner, you can ask Seafarer for a content and they will have a lot of content. What about pirates, pirate attacks, how to deal with it? This is a problem in some parts of our world. For example, near the Africa, near Malacca Strait, you have this pirate problem, but in biggest part of our world, this is not a problem. We have special precautions if we going through this pirate region. You need to lock all doors, use barbed wire, you need to hire special guard with actual guns who can kill people. You can proceed in convoy with other vessels, with other warships, and this is somehow helps from pirate attacks. What's the most important, what you need to know about pirate attacks on the vessels, that you have no need to be a hero and you need to hide from these pirates. It's very stupid to fight without guns, without any weapon against the old-fashioned AK-47, especially when very nervous and angry pirate has this AK-47. All crew members must hide in Citadel. I know, Vessel have citadel. This is real fortress that you have on board of your vessel. In case of pirate attack, you must hide in this citadel and call for help. You have special secret buttons which are located on the bridge, in master cabin and in other places, and you also have special phone which you can use from this citadel. I have no experience of pirate attack or proceeding through these pirate regions. This is all thoughts that I hear. In some companies you even have bigger salary because of these piracy risks. But pirates is not the only problem. Vessels also have different enemies, for example stowaways, which are trying to hide inside your vessel and move in other country. For example, from Africa to Europe. This American dream. Sometimes you have robbery or theft of your equipment because someone embarked your vessel during a night and stole something from your vessel and just move away on the boat, on wooden boat which you can't track. To fight against these enemies you have ISPS code which describes all this stuff and all these procedures. And if you want to see part 3, leave your questions in comment sections, and maybe next part will be more about answering different small questions, because right now you can see I have 6 questions and I made a 20 minutes video out of these 6 questions. If you learn something new, click a like button and watch first part, for example, and other videos about sea life and something interesting that YouTube recommends to you. Evgeny Maximov, thank you, subscribe, and see you in the next 3rd part of answering obvious questions about sea life.